Hello everyone, this side Riddhi Sorrel from Hackers Blog English. Today we are going to understand about SQL injection. So what SQL injection? We'll be discussing that in this session, and we will also going with the post-figure lab with understanding step by step that how SQL queries gets manipulated and can leak the data or can intrude into the code. So how we have to prevent it, all of these things we will be seeing in this session today. So before starting with the session, let's first understand what topics I will be taking you so that you will be understanding. So this is going to be a very basic video and a complete video so that if you are a beginner, you can understand what SQL injection is, what can be the payloads where we can use for SQL injection, and code which are likely for SQL injection. Means if we know this is poor code and this is good code, means this is vulnerable code and this is non-vulnerable code, then that going to be very good for understanding purpose. So I have written that particular part also so that you can have a look on the code and you can identify that SQL injection, yeah, SQL injection here it will occur or here it will not occur. And in the last, we will be seeing about the prevention taken for SQL injection. So what can be the preventions? What are the steps we can take for removal of the injection, SQL queries injection? All right. So let's start with this. So first we are understanding about SQL injection. SQL injection is basically a injection attack where malicious SQL statements are written, and particularly attackers are able to understand the queries, attackers able to find out the queries and can manipulate it so that that injection takes place. So these statements control a database server behind the application. So by this injection, by these malicious SQL statement queries, attacker can manipulate the database server also, means can control, can take access the database server also. So attackers can use SQL injection vulnerabilities to bypass the application security. Even it can bypass the application security. So as in the meantime, if we are able to see, like everything is on database, means if we are making a site, we are making an application, we are making anything, database is required for that. So for the database we are using the queries, and in the queries, if we have written poor queries, then definitely attackers can manipulate that and make it malicious and take the access of the application database. So they can go around authentication authorization. So basically attacker, if we are talking about the attacker's point of view, then definitely they will be understanding about the authentications, authorizations of the web page. So they are most targeting on these things, web applications, and retrieve the content of the entire SQL database. By this they can even retrieve the tables, they can retrieve the important details from the databases. They can also use SQL injections to add, modify, delete records in the database. Now moving towards like the payloads used for SQL injections. So here I have given you the link. You can even go on this link. I'll just show you. If we are going on this link, it's a GitHub link, simple GitHub link. In GitHub link, so there are several payloads available. So you can even read this also for the further information or further understanding. But anyways, here are some SQL injection payloads. So if one payload is not working, you can switch to next payload, you can switch to third payload, and n number of payloads you can try. And by these payloads, if that application authentication or the authorization is lagged with proper SQL queries, then definitely it will get hacked. So these are the specific injections which I am showing you for the union. If the query is binding with union order by, so these kinds of SQL injections payload we can use. So now moving next. Now, as I told you, like code vulnerable to SQL injection. So you can see here, we have written one query, select star from products where categories equal input. and then after written the query we are passing, means since we have written the query, then definitely that statement will pass the query and print the output from that query. So in that we have written the statement as a variable, and then we have passed it in the result set. So you can see here the apostrophe, the double quotes, these are much likely, means these are calculated under the vulnerable code. So how to protect this particular query from SQL injection? That particular prevention is given here. So in the prevention taken from SQL injection, first of all, we have to take care of the parameterized queries. Means if we are using query, then that queries should be parameterized. Means it contains parameters step by step. In the parameterized query, because that allows database to understand the parts of SQL queries and taking into the input that can solve SQL injection. So now let's move towards the practical so that we can understand how SQL injection is occurring. So here I have PostSwigger lab. In this PostSwigger lab, I'm just going into to access the lab. Before accessing the lab, I've just checked my IP address, and my IP address holds something like this. So I'm connecting Firefox with Burp Suite first of all. You can use Foxy Proxy also, but since I'm not using Foxy Proxy, I'm simply using the IPs and configuring it. 8080. And in the Firefox, I'm going for, and here also I've written the IPs. Now, just to check it, let me go into let me off the proxy first. Yeah, so it's open here. Now, just to check it whether it's working or not, I'll just go here. I'll put a proxy, manual proxy configuration. Now, just reload the page and check whether Burp Suite is allowing it or not. Connection reset. Yeah, so I guess now it's working. So first what we will be doing is we'll be putting on the intercept. Now clicking on these, because since we have this vulnerability, SQL injection vulnerability, where with the where clause, allowing the retrieval of the hidden data. So whatever things we are passing, that is reflecting back to us. Okay, so where clause is used for SQL queries whenever we are targeting, like where ID equals to 1, where ID equals to 254. So means we are pointing on someone. So we are finding out that data. So if I am clicking on any of this, it means I'm fetching that data. Okay. So let's roll into it. Suppose food and drink I'm clicking on. Yeah. So we have this. So now what I'll be doing is I'll be changing it, because since I have given with a category food plus drink. So what I'll going to do is, being a hacker, I'll be putting a payload here. So the simplest payload which we have for SQL injection is apostrophe plus or plus 1 equal 1 hyphen hyphen. So hyphen hyphen shows whenever we are writing this query, means injection, it simply shows that we are passing passing the numbers, we are passing the things, but with a modification part. So let's understand and forward it.